Well, this young lady takes me back. And when I say takes me back, I mean takes me back to the days when I first began covering high school sports here in Brevard County. And Veronica knows the story. I'm here with Veronica Petrinec, and she is now at Tulane University down in New Orleans, Louisiana. She'll be a senior next year. But before here's the story in a nutshell. When my days began here with the Friday Night Locker Room and Steve in Orville, and Steve said, we're going to cover bowling. And I looked at him like he had 10 heads. And I said, are you kidding me? We're really going to cover bowling? And he said, yes, absolutely. This young lady right here is the reason all of you out there, the astronauts, the Cocos, all of you can thank Veronica for the way that Brevard Sports Network covers bowling, because she's the one that sat us down and told us what its importance was, how important it was. And you know what, Veronica? We fell in love with it. We absolutely fell in love with bowling. And in fact, it's part of our coverage. How are you?
I'm doing well, and thanks for having me, of course. I do remember the day I walked up to Steve at a Cocoa High THS basketball game at Cocoa High, and I told him, word for word, why don't you guys cover bowling? And he looked at me like I had 10 heads, and he didn't really have an answer, but he was like, give me your number and we'll talk. And so that's what I did. And he brought it up with you guys, and you guys wound up coming out and covering a lot of events, and you guys still do. And I'm very grateful that you guys are still doing that even after I've left high school, because I know the high school kids love it. So
now, I don't know what your plans are after high school, but we could always use some help on the commentating part of bowling and broadcasting when you get back. I know. Tell us what you're studying at Tulane, because I know I read your bio, and you still are you a lawyer?
I do have aspirations of being a lawyer someday. I am double majoring in political science and sociology. So I'll have 2 bachelor's degrees when I'm done with Tulane. And I am planning on going to law school. I don't have a location yet. I have a top 5, but I am studying for the LSAT as we speak. And I am working on applying for those this upcoming semester. So hopefully I'll have an answer for you guys in December or early the following semester.
Now, Veronica's stats have been flashing up on the screen, and all of the wonderful things that she has done, both at Titusville and at Tulane. What was the big? Now, you know, it's. I've been wanting to ask you this question, because you are actually the first bowler that I've interviewed that's left Brevard County and gone on to bowl in college. Now, I know there's quite a few that are headed that way now that we've gotten close to. But my question for you is what was the biggest difference from bowling in high school to once you got to college?
The difference is the discipline, for sure. In high school, there is discipline and you do have practice, but you don't have weights and you don't have like the overhang of like someone paying for you to go to school.
Right.
So I think the discipline is definitely the biggest thing. Like, we get up at 6 a.m. every day. We have weights. We have practice. We do some conditioning stuff. We do meetings. We have team meetings, individual meetings, and then you have meetings just with your teammates and team activities, and your life is just so much more consumed with your sport in college. And I think a lot of college athletes can say that that's probably also a big difference. And high school, I think, was a little bit more self-disciplined. You kind of had to make yourself do these things. In college, it's like it's a requirement, like you will do these things. So I think that was the biggest difference, for sure.
Well, you went in pretty ready to go, because I mean, you had created a page. I mean, you were a pretty dedicated bowler here, and pretty locked on trying to make this sport become what it is growing into here in Brevard County. And again, kudos to you for that, because without you, I'm not covering bowling. I can promise you that. So I guess from how has the transition been for you away from home. What was it like that first year down in New Orleans and at Tulane? You know, what did the world just seem like it was 10 times bigger? How was that?
I will say my first year I did struggle a little bit. Not so much with transition, but with not so much with like the homesickness, not that kind of transition, but more the athletic side of it.
Right.
I was used to being the best on my team in high
Yeah.
school and one of the best bowlers in the state. And then I went to college where everybody was the best bowler on their team and everybody was the best bowler from their state. And that's hard to deal with, and sometimes it can be a little bit discouraging. I had a big confidence dip my freshman year. I really struggled with some things in my game that we were changing and adjusting to the early mornings and the super late nights and the school aspect. High school was super easy, honestly. College is not that easy, especially Tulane. So I would say that the adjusting of like time management and just really getting used to that structure was pretty difficult my freshman year. I had a lot of great people help me. I had some upperclassmen help me through that. I had some people within the athletics department. I had an academic advisor really helped me. I had a mentor in athletics that really helped me, and you know, talking to my coaches about it once I realized that it was okay to open up, they were able to help me a little bit. So I really do think that the first year is difficult, but I think it's good to realize it's difficult for everybody, because I didn't realize that. And definitely if you're watching this and you're going to be an incoming freshman as an athlete, any athlete, just be very open and honest with your teammates and your coaches, because in the department, because they're always usually willing to help.
That's outstanding advice. And I'll tell you what, I always ask, what advice do you have for those that are getting ready to make that transition? And that's the first time I've actually ever heard the honesty part of that, because you often hear when they come back and they say, you know, I was inverted and I didn't open up, and you know, I probably should have, and maybe it cost me this or cost me that. But I think that's outstanding advice, because a lot of people think that when, again, you forget that when you get to college, that everybody is as good as you are at the high school level. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there with a scholarship like everybody else got. So I think that's such a critical piece of advice, is the honesty part of it. I got this Terriers thing. I do have a Terrier thing here in the background. So we are here with Veronica Petrinec, and 2017 state runner-up. As you look back on your high school career, what are some fond memories that you have about some of the days at Titusville?
Oh my goodness, there is so many. I miss being in high school, and everybody always says that, you know, like I can't wait to leave. I can't wait to go to college. And I will say that that was true for me, and it still is. Like, I love Tulane. But my team at Titusville was my family, and you know, you grow up with them. I grew up bowling league with all of them. I grew up really knowing their parents, hanging out with them on the weekends, bowling tournaments together, traveling. And there's so many memories. I think my favorite would definitely be when we won state in 2014, I believe it was. I think that's a no-brainer. But I think one of my best long memories was my senior year, and it wasn't because of the going to individually to state, but it was because my senior year we lost almost our entire team, and so we had 3 seniors and we had like 5 freshmen, and so it was a really interesting dynamic. We had a rough patch for a little bit, but that year was my favorite because they really taught me leadership, and they taught me how important it was to stand up and speak up and be open and honest. And although I caved in a little bit when I went to college, they taught me that I can be a good leader, and they gave me the confidence and everything that I needed. I wouldn't have went to state as an individual if it wasn't for them kind of helping me and molding me along the way. and our team was very young, very new. We had a lot of difficult matches and stuff, but that by far was my favorite year because I think we were the biggest underdog, and we made a lot of statements. And those girls improved so much, the freshmen, over the span of a year, that it was really, really rewarding, I think, to see.
We're here with Veronica Petrinec. She will be a senior at Tulane University coming up this fall. What is it about the bowling community that makes it such a tight-knit family? Is it all the time you spend together? Because, you know, as I got to know the bowling community a little bit over the last 2 years, I find it fascinating how it really is like one big giant family. And I know a lot of sports say that, but it's not the case when it comes to bowling. It really is like a real family. Why is that?
I will say, growing up with River Lanes, they are a big reason why it's very family oriented. Their business is family oriented. They're owned by the Harmons, and they have a few marriage, ties in there too. So there's some different last names there, but they're owned by a family that's been there for years and years and years, and they build their league, their youth league, on the foundation and the mannerism of family. And I think that, we all traveled to certain tournaments. They had us go in groups together, so that made us get to know each other. We went kind of all over the place just as a group from River Lanes, as a youth organization. And I think that really instilled family. And also, we're just from a small town. Titusville is just not big. There's only one bowling alley in Titusville. So it just kind of forces you to get to know one another. And I think that the community River Lanes built around bowling really nourished like a healthy, like, family environment. And so honestly, I totally put that on them. I think that they did that for sure.
When you see, and I know Astronaut and Titusville are rivals, but again, like you said, that, you're all bowling at River Lanes together. When you see Astronaut boys win a state championship, and then you see Logan Harvey go become the 2021 high school state national champion, that's got to instill a sense of pride in you coming from this county to know that, first of all, we know about that because of the foundation that you laid, and that bowling community in Titusville is alive and well. How did that make you feel to see that?
It made me feel amazing. When I saw that they won state, I was watching every live stream I possibly could in between classes and everything. I watched Logan. His father had a live stream going. I watched that for a good majority. And to me, it's like, it sounds so ridiculous, but it's like watching like these children grow up, because when I was a youth bowler, they weren't in high school. So they were in the preps or in the, the younger division at least. And so to see them like stay with bowling and then to formulate and build such a strong team and good chemistry, I think is amazing. I feel good for them because I know how good it feels to be a part of such a good team culture and to be a part of something so great. And for Logan, I also know what it's like to succeed as an individual. I know that it's definitely not as good as it feels succeeding as a team, but what he did is remarkable. I've also been to that tournament. I went there 3 out of my 4 years. I had top 8 finishes, but I never won. And I can't imagine how amazing that felt. I was cheering for him when I was watching the live stream. It's amazing. And it's good to know that a small town like Titusville is making a name for itself. Even if they go to Astronaut, you kind of put that to the side.
And then you see Michael Harmon goes out to the Masters. Now, Michael will tell you, he threw some bad balls in that final match, but he leads for 47 of the 48 matches and nearly wins the Team Masters. I mean, it was impressive to see what everybody has done. So I'm going to circle back. And aside from the honesty part of it, What advice do you have for the Michaels and the Logans out there of the world that are going to be entering into college next year? What are one or two things, again, aside from that honesty part from earlier, that they should know?
I would say one big one, it sounds really simple, but to be you. I think when you go to a big school, which Michael's going to a big school, Indiana Tech's a fairly decent sized school in
Yeah.
Indiana. It's important to just remember that yes, you're a part of something bigger. Yes, Michael is a phenomenal bowler, clearly. But when he goes to Indiana Tech, there's going to be a lot like him. And like I said, it can make you feel very small. But to just really to be you and to be you naturally, because I think you'll gravitate more confidence and more friendships and that kind of thing if you're just you. Don't try to be the big dog. Don't try to be, don't try to hide in the corner. Just be you, and I think that'll really help. Another thing is, also sounds simple, but don't forget where you come from. We were just speaking about Titusville. It's easy to get lost in a big city. I mean, I go to school in New Orleans. I'm living here currently. I'm not home this summer, but it's easy to kind of get lost and kind of lose yourself too. So it kind of goes with being you. But that small city feel and that family connections that we built, as long as you can realize that like the Michaels and the Logans and all the other successful bowlers in Brevard County, like your community built you and helped you do that. I mean, astronaut quite literally, Titusville and the community literally funded them to go up to Ohio. So it really is important to be you and to remember where you're from, because that's just where you're from ties back to being you, and being you is very important in college. So.
I got to have you on more often, because that is the best advice anybody's ever given when I've asked that question. I mean, that's amazing. A couple more here for Veronica Petrinec, former Titusville bowler, now at Tulane University. So what is it like living in the Big Easy, New Orleans? How much recovery have they done from what has occurred to that city, a decade and a half ago? Have you done the whole Mardi Gras thing? What's it like being in the Big Easy?
They are doing a lot better with infrastructure, I will say that. Politics kind of got a little bit involved. I'm a political science major, so I follow these things. But they have gotten a little bit more involved and gotten some more assistance, so they're doing a lot better with infrastructure. However, there are still communities and groups of neighborhoods who is still not recovered from Katrina even, which is so long ago. But they're working towards that, so it's nice to see that. I also study sociology, so I study society and how people move and that sort of thing. So I've looked at that in a few of my classes. I have been to Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras is a fantastic time,
I'll bet.
To say the very least. I didn't go last year because Mardi Gras did not happen due to COVID. But Mardi Gras is literally unexplainable. I can't even put it into words. People wear crazy outfits. You catch crazy things. It's like the one time a year that being completely ridiculous is totally normal. And it's one of my favorite parts about being at Tulane is the culture here.
Yep.
The New Orleans culture, I mean, for anyone watching that's ever been, knows exactly what I'm talking about, but it is so, so strong. And I always tell people, New Orleans wouldn't be New Orleans without Tulane because of all the community service and outreach we do. But I don't think Tulane would be Tulane without New Orleans. So it kind of goes hand in hand.
How about Cajun? You learn any Cajun down there?
I have not. I've learned to understand it.
Right.
The ladies in the dining hall, they speak a lot. They have very heavy Creole / Cajun accents. You learn to understand it. They are super sweet. They treat us like we're their children when they make our plates, literally. Mm-hmm. So it's super awesome. I love Tulane. I love being here. I'm so glad that I literally have this opportunity. It's anything that I could have ever dreamed of.
What type of lawyer, when you said you're what type of lawyer would you want to be? Because I'm telling you, whatever type of lawyer you're studying sociology, law, infrastructure, all political science, you are going to be dangerous to go up against. What type of lawyer are you going to be?
I'm thinking about a few different fields, but I really want to be either an immigration attorney.
Wow.
Or I really want to be just a civil rights, human rights activist,
God bless you.
attorney. So that kind of relates into international law a little bit. You can do it domestically too, but it's a little bit more popular in countries where human rights are not a thing. So either international law or immigration law is kind of my interest.
Well, Veronica, I'm going to say this. You were a joy to cover when you were here. It has been amazing catching up with you. You are a true credit to Brevard County. And what I mean by that is that you are the definition of what a student athlete is. Congratulations on all of your success. And certainly, I won't wait 2.5 to 3 years to get you back on for an interview. We'll get you back on next year during the season to talk a little bit about the season as it goes on. But did you want to say hello or give a shout out to anybody that might be watching this interview tonight as you are in Louisiana?
Definitely shout out to my mom because I know she's watching. She's one of my biggest fans. Shout out to my grandpa. He got me into bowling. He's funded my bowling all my life, so shout out to him. And shout out to Tulane Athletics and my coaches and my teammates because I'm sure they're going to tune into this at some point. And just thank you so much, for giving me this opportunity.
Absolutely.
Thank you, THS. Thank you, BSN. Thank you to my coaches in high school and at Tulane. Just thank you. I can't say it enough.
Well, I appreciate you and good luck this year. And it's a pleasure having you on. So for Veronica Petrinec, I'm Alan Slaughter-Zinski for the Brevard Sports Network. Have a great evening, everybody.